Hi, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the thing we call a shoot. Okay, we got a special guest coming in today, but let's do the thing. All right, so come on, you can come sit down. Welcome to One Page Story Extravaganza. I am Christopher Runciman. I'm your host on this special event. And joining me today is my better half, Lori.
Hello.
It's her birthday. Here she comes. Ready? Kapow! There she is. You can adjust it however you want.
I don't know which. Okay, I'll just.
Here, come over here. There you go.
There.
Okay, hi everybody. So, we got some people saying hi. There's Miriam. Hi, Miriam. There's Frankly. Hi, Frankly. Whose birthday is it? It's Lori's birthday. So Lori's going to come and hang out with us in the stream today, and we're going to talk about stuff. Yeah, so this is, before we get into all that, this is today's page. This is a page that I started on Friday, drawing in pencil crayons. The first cat that you see on the page belongs to Chris Kalu from Mexico, our good friend Chris, and Miriam says happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Miriam.
The page is basically, the suggestion was Corbin, and it came from Miriam. It was Corbin goes for world domination, something like that. I have the note in the scanner, I think. So thank you, Miriam, for that great suggestion. It was a lot of fun to do that. So the first cat's Nico, I think. Nico, who is Chris Klu's cat. And then the next two is Baby, who is a troublemaker, and Corbin, who is an angel. But
well, let's be honest. If Corbin can't dominate Baby, he's not going to take over the world.
No, it's not. It's just not going to happen. Frankly says, hello, my Canadian parents. He wants to be adopted to come on up here. All right, come on, Frank. Come on up.
There's always room for one more.
Yeah, so, our cat Baby, she's feisty. She is a feisty old bird. And she's, 14 now?
Yeah.
And there's not a chance. Corbin hasn't got a chance of even dominating her, much less the entire planet. But in the case of this narrative, he does. So I've also got, this is the page that was on Friday. The suggestion came from our brother-in-law, Scott Card. And this is about the sky splitting open and a whole bunch of guys on horseback come out and people look up in awe. But the last little bit at the end, yeah, that's completely me. It's got to clean up after all these horses.
So practical.
And then these are the two pages from this weekend that I don't have the text on them right here because that's a secret. And if you want to see that, it's on Patreon. Okay, so that's about that. I got the overhead camera kicking in here. I got a special guest in the studio. I got some books pulled out to talk to people about. And hey, Chris says Nico looks great. Thanks, Chris. She's just dropping in and saying, happy birthday, Lori.
Thanks, Chris.
Frank is packing his bottles of maple syrup as we speak. You don't need to pack them, Frank. We have lots here. I mean, like lots. There's a maple tree one house over. You can just go and tap that in the winter. Thanks for coming in, Chris. It was really nice of you to stop by. She's got to go teach. Tuesdays and Fridays are her days where she has.
It's Monday.
I know. So she's stopping in just to say hi and happy birthday.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm glad that you like that idea, frankly. And thank you very much, Miriam, for it. No, you've blown my unblemished Lori. All right. So what do we got? We've got, I've got the paper pulled out for today, but I've brought out books.
Okay.
I brought books out to show you. I forgot to turn that on.
But I think you should first just give a little blurb about today's idea. Was it from Friday? From our friends at Woodfield?
Oh, yeah. I got to find the book for that.
Okay.
And Baby's already jumped on my desk.
She wants to be a part of this too.
If Mom is in the studio, then Baby is in the studio. That's how it works. Because she thinks that she is Mom's sidekick. So this is Baby. Let's see. Okay, so today's idea comes from Monica at Westfield Automotive. Woodfield Automotive. Ridiculous. I can't remember anything. And her idea is Polish relative putting flour onto things and turning them magically into something else.
Yes.
So that's what we'll be doing today. She's
so the little bit of context is that she needs to eat gluten-free, and when she was visiting family, gluten-free in Poland is not as effective as gluten-free in Canada. And her beloved aunt made lots of things that probably tasted great but didn't agree with her.
I think she said, I can't have flour. And she said, okay, just a little flour. It's not so much flour. So yeah, that was a tough trip for her, but a wonderful time with family. Just because I promised that I would do this whenever I'm doodling in the sketchbook. I spent some time yesterday with my brother-in-law not feeling good, and so while he was having a nap, I was doodling in the old sketchy bookie. There's the suggestion for today. So, Yahoo! All right. Okay, I got some books I'm going to show first. Chris, how do I become a sponsor for a video? Just tell me what you want to do, and we'll put you up there. Babe, you're in the way. She just refuses to move. This is my old. Look at this old grizzled beast. Hey, can I get by?
She's looking at you like you're
push me around.
You're in my space, actually.
This cat is years of this cat bossing the entire house around. Okay, all right, baby, I'm going around you. Okay, so I pulled out some books today so we can talk about that are books that relate to our growing up.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I thought that would be fun. And then I'll get right into drawing. But the first one is Jim Henson, The Works. So what I love about this book is it's all about Henson's story. Lori signed a book out of the library for me recently to read about Jim Henson's life. And it's like, I think, the third page in, and I'm like, I know all of this stuff. How do I know that? Paul, page 10. You can click on people's things if you want. Whenever.
Okay.
I couldn't figure out how I knew everything that it's telling me, and it's because I've read all of this in this previous book. So,
hi, Paul.
Miriam says, I need a camera and an MC. You choose one. Frankie says, I'm listening in and using today to catch up on my to-do list. Yeah, I don't know. If you want to be a sponsor for a video, let me know how, buddy. Or let me know what you want me to do for you. Let me know how I can help you. You know, there's no expectation for if you today's sponsor, and I'll just promote whatever it is you're trying to do, frankly. So this is literally scripts and process and behind the scenes and all of his projects that he has done for years and years and years and years and years. Would you be quiet? That's my favorite character. So, yeah, and there's Agra. So there's so much great stuff that Henson is responsible for producing. But what's more important than that is how Henson is responsible for really making a huge industry and a huge impact on puppeteering, and specifically in North America, but also in Britain, because he moved a lot of his works over to England.
Mm-hmm.
So while he's helping at Sesame Street in North America, he's doing, the Muppets overseas.
Yeah.
So anyways, this is a great book, and that cover.
That's fun.
This is so Jim Henson. Hey, how are you? Hi, everybody.
It's rather fitting that Baby, aka Miss Piggy, is in on this episode here.
Yeah, we call Baby Miss Piggy because, one, since we got her fixed, she's a bit gluttonous and thinks that she has to eat a lot because her body's confused about pregnancy now. But and two, she's got such an attitude. It's like she walks around going, "Hello, everybody, I'm the cat. You better move out of the way, Buster." Like it's just she's got that attitude. Anyways, that's The Works. So that's our first cool book. How did the Muppets influence you? How did Jim
I
Henson?
watch it every Sunday night.
Was it just the Muppets for you,
The
or were you a
Muppets
Sesame
and
Street
then
girl too?
Fraggle Rock. Oh yeah, Sesame Street.
If anybody can tell me the theme song for Fraggle Rock, I will do a special drawing for you. Frankly, Paul Pate says Animal the Drummer. Paul Pate says Animal the Drummer.
Yeah.
Was my favorite.
Oh, so fun.
Miriam says that she's going to do a puppet this month. One more up. That's fantastic. She corrected his puppet.
Yeah. That's fun.
That's fantastic. Frankie's going to send me. I'm listening in while trying to finish page 100, says Paul at the top. Page 100, Paul. Congratulations. That's fantastic, buddy. That is really impressive how many pages that you've got done so far this year. He started, I think, in February, working on his new graphic novel, and he's already kicking on page 100.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
So even locally here, people have been influenced by Jim Henson.
Oh, I would think so.
Yeah, through my work, I'm familiar with that. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, one of somebody I went to high school with ended up being Carol's assistant. He was the guy that was Big Bird.
Oh.
And she went on to become his assistant.
Great.
That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
See that? Look at Franklin. Dance cares away. Ready for another day. Let the music play.
Yeah, there you go. That's
Down in
it.
Fraggle Rock. Anyways. Okay, so another thing to show you, drum roll please, is
Oh yeah.
this.
Aw,
Yeah,
the
Charlie Brown and the Gang. This is the Peanuts movie book, and the art and making of Blue Skies, the Peanuts movie. Now this is specifically about this particular film made by a particular company. However, Miriam says it's very impressive to see you going at it, Paul. Fantastic. So it's one of those things where Charles Schultz's work in the Peanuts. This is another massive impact on us in our childhood, and I think that Schultz, in all honesty, had a big impact on, Sunday cartoon strips. I mean, he dominated it for so long. I mean, Peanuts was Sunday strips.
Sunday.
Or is it Sunday newspaper?
Saturday.
Saturday newspapers.
The weekend paper.
Weekend paper.
Yeah, and it was always the first strip.
Yeah.
The comic insert.
It sort of shows you just having him on the top like that. But I mean, his work is so. Here's an example of it in the screen now. It's so clean. It's just. It's a dark and stormy night. That's a terrible way to begin a story. It's too trite. It's so trite. Once upon a time, that's the way all the good stories begin. Do that. Begin your story with once upon a time. And he writes, once upon a time, it was a dark and stormy night. I mean, that's just the simplest joke, and yet Schultz rocked that. Frankly says, I watched Muppet Babies, Fraggle Rock, Sesame Street, The Muppet Show, the movies. Man, oh man. That's a lot. That's a lot of impact. I really loved watching Labyrinth and The Dark Tower, or The Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
Those films changed the game for how you could use puppets and animatics. And between those two films and what Lucas was doing with Star Wars by introducing two characters. One is Jabba the Hutt, which is a puppet. The big slug thing is 5 people puppeting Jabba the Hutt. Was it 3 of them, I think, are inside. Or at least 2 are inside of it. And then one's doing the tail only. Like it's from the outside. And then Yoda. And Frank Oz, who's a major contributor to all of Henson's work and does half the voices. right? Like Kermit is Henson, Piggy is Oz, is Frank Oz, right? So it's he was Yoda.
Mm.
The guy that was Miss Piggy is the guy that was Yoda. It's crazy. Anyway, so it's funny to think about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Pigpen the kid with the bugs always swarming around him? I don't know necessarily that it was bugs. I think bugs is a later iteration. I thought it was dust. He always had billows of dust
Yeah, that's right.
in the old school cartoons, and he was
Yeah.
always like smudged.
Frankly said it's dirt, a dirt cloud.
Yeah, he's a dirt cloud, and I mean, there's like, but he came off as just as dirty. That's why he's transitionally white to dark, because there were Schultz is I think one of the first guys that introduced a black character into it, and then an independent female characters of Marcy and Lucy. That's right, sir.
Peppermint Patty was
Peppermint Patty will knock your block off.
Yeah, she's strong.
But Lucy and Marcy were great. Come on, Marcy, let's go over here. Whatever you say, sir.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
What a weird headspace for that. I mean, that's pretty progressive.
It is progressive. I was just gonna say he was ahead of his time.
I mean, on top of all of the adventures of Snoopy and the birds and like Woodstock and yeah. Anyway, so Peanuts is another massive influence from our youth. So thank you for those of you that shared those memories. Sorry, babe, I just scared the cat. I've got one more, and then Lori's going to take over while I get started drawing.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah, you're going to take over talking about the next thing while I start drawing. You'll see what it is.
Okay.
Seuss. The whole Seuss? Nothing but the Seuss. Dr. Seuss. It's a dirt cloud. Frankly, Googled it. No, it's not flies. It's dust. It's billows of dust.
Yeah, Riri said they Googled it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And you were right.
Yeah, so this is all about Dr. Seuss, Mr. Geisel, right? Theodore Geisel. Now, lately, people are saying that he's been whatever this canceled culture thing for some of his works, and I don't care. I just don't care. I loved Dr. Seuss as a kid growing up.
Oh, everybody does.
There was a band here in London called Red Fishy Winds, which is a really weird name for a band. But the whole point of the band called Red Fishy Wind is entirely alluding to the cover of One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the cover of that book, the red fish is the farthest across the cover. Red Fishy Winds.
Okay, yeah.
And when I said, "Oh my God, Red Fishy, like Dr. Seuss," and the one person in the band went, "Somebody gets it." I was like, "Okay, you are welcome. My brain is abstract as yours." So now they're doing all kinds of adaptations of the material and all kinds of different interpretations of it. I mean, they even had Michael Myers as the Cat in the Hat, which is just weird. And the Jim Carrey Grinch are pretty good though. But Seuss's work is big impacts on generations. I think more Gen X, right? Paul says, not sure if you're going to show one, but I loved Fat Albert when I was a kid. It wouldn't work today. It was too politically incorrect, not to mention the whole Cosby angle. I think that for what it was, though, Fat Albert and the gang, Fat Albert and the kids, that was a big deal. Because it's a Saturday morning cartoon show specifically about Black and Puerto Rican and poor white kids growing up in New York. And there weren't an awful lot of representations of any of those three in a positive light of people getting along and sharing and all those things. Now, there's aspects of that culture that people are going to take issue with today. And of course, Cosby having turned out the way he did, just remember Heathcliff Huxtable and stay with that. Because, you can't let the entire body of work be destroyed because of some degeneracy. You have to appreciate the contribution of so many other people in the structuring of something. And and the Huxtables. I mean, that was so many more people than just him.
Yeah,
So he doesn't get to spoil it.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I like the Jackson 5 instead of Michael Jackson's music. Because there's a bunch more Jacksons. Okay, I realize the whole Jackson 5 and the indentured servitude to their parents, but, either way, it's hard. It's hard to like things when, you retcon the past to be acceptable or not. It's what it was.
Yeah.
And despite that, things get made. You can still like Whitney Houston. You can still like, whatever. It's hard. But Seuss's work it's impactful. I mean, it changed a lot of people's world.
So here's a trivia question for you.
Okay.
So I remember as a kid, they showed a Seuss film, and it was about the environment. It's about factories and pollution and all of that. Do you remember what that story
I don't.
was
That's
about?
awesome.
Yeah, I don't either.
Was it
It was
one of his
very
books adapted, or
impactful.
is it specifically one of those works? Because he did a whole bunch of public service works.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe it wasn't based on a book.
There were certain people that did like just proactive messaging from our youth, right? Like Seuss is one of them. Rockwell tried to talk about some things in his larger portrait pieces of All This Is America, and it shows the wonderful diversity of America.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Fred Rogers, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What am I missing? Anyways, as far as it goes for Fat Albert, major impact on me. I love Fat Albert growing up. Mush Mouse. Can we like R. Kelly? Well, I don't know. I think he's kind of a drip.
Oh, here we go. The Lorax. I bet that's what it was.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Frankly. That's Frankly Mapleton.
Okay. I'll have to try to remember that.
That's Frank from Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got 16
I think
different
you mailed
names.
maple syrup somewhere.
That's what I mailed Frank maple syrup stuff. Anyways, this is a whole overview of all of Seuss's works that he did beyond just the books that we know. So it's kind of fun to read everything you can about a guy. This is a lot more extensive than we think of just a few books. Okay, so today's suggestion is I write it down on a Post-it. There it is. Okay, so today's suggestion is in relation to Monica and Matt's visit to Poland to see their relatives, and poor Monica having to deal with all she had to deal with the diet. So I was thinking of doing something with a traditional, cultural Polish costume on the old lady, and then playing on that.
Yeah, that's fun. I have a lot of fun with it.
So putting flour onto things.
You got to convey the sound effect.
Oh yeah, big onomatopoeia there. That's what you call it. Poof.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so turning them into other things, and then I'm gonna hand you over to Lori for a second. Turning them over into something else. I'll write down what I'm actually told to do. Something else, and that's Monica. It's the Strumplowski. I can't remember how the name goes. Okay, so there's our thing today. I think I'm going to be doing some stuff in paint marker, and with the ones I got, whatever is working. Now, having set Lori up like I just did, you can hold these up in front of the camera too instead.
Okay.
Here,
oh, okay.
This is an easy one for you. Here you go.
So he's just handed me 3 anthologies of Smurfs. There we go.
There you are. All right.
The Smurfs. So, of course, I grew up watching it every Saturday morning. Used to be a half an hour, and then as it grew in popularity, they extended it. I feel like it went on for like an hour and a half every Saturday morning, all the different Smurf episodes. But I know
tons to work from.
So you would know more of the history of the Smurfs, and it's a Dutch creator, is it not?
Belgian,
Belgian.
between
Okay.
between Holland and France,
Okay.
right?
You want me to flip through
Well, you can if you want.
pages?
Peo, isn't it Peo?
Try. Uh-oh.
What's that?
Frankly's telling on me that it's my birthday.
Oh yeah,
Thank you. Hi, Dee Dee. So, we were watching the Smurfs with the grandkids the other day, and they had some new characters, or they had switched up some of the characters, which is fun.
well, they've added so many more.
But they had like the classic Hefty, Brainy, yes, of course.
Vanity, Jokey, Papa, Smurf. But now there's another female Smurf, or a whole bunch of other female Smurfs now.
Yeah,
like
that's good.
because they found a female Smurf village recently.
A lot of pressure on Smurfette.
Peo created the Smurfs.
Yeah.
And other things.
Yes, thank you. It's my 29th. Except that I have a daughter
Shh. You stick with 29.
who's a couple of years younger than me.
Yeah, well, Jamie's turning 32, and I keep saying I'm 39, so.
It doesn't really work out very well.
Numbers are hard.
So I collected, okay, my friends and I, this is like when we were 10, 11, we would play with those little blue plastic Smurf figures.
I should have brought that thing down.
I should have brought it down. So we collected them, and of course I grew out of that eventually. And so at my parents' house last week, my husband was looking in the furnace room, and he comes across this little wooden platform that my dad made and had glued all these little Smurfs to the top of them, so he preserved my little collection. And I kind of knew that, but I kind of forgot about it. And then when Christopher found it, it was pretty special. So I brought that home. And one of the my favoriteest Christmas presents was a gigantic stuffed Smurfette. And then I also had a smaller scale stuffed Papa Smurf. They got a lot of cuddles from me for sure.
Who's this?
Frankly says the Smurfs movie actually included Peo on the lore that he documented the Smurfs as real creatures.
Oh, that's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's it's such a massive international impact that the Smurfs have. Like it's one of those things where all around the world, it's like there's certain material that came out in that time period, like Tintin, the Smurfs, Asterix and Obelix, and trying to think of all the ones. Rupert, I talked about the other day. Just these far-reaching, and then you get into Johnny Quest, and you get into, a lot of the Flintstones, the Bugs Bunny characters, like the Looney Tune characters. Like those things every one of them were just internationally famous.
Mm-hmm.
Every place had different names for them, but every place knew them. You know what I mean? Like it's funny to think about when you look at Smurf toys, and you'll see that some of them are fabricated in Argentina. It's like,
yeah,
it's a whole different continent, much less, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Frankly says he's painted mice blue and let them loose in his house. He has Smurfs everywhere. That's fantastic. Do you ever Did you ever have electric football? Do they have that in Canada? I spent my childhood obsessed with it. Um, there was electric football in Canada, but I grew up in poverty. So I was a weird kid, right? And oh, Miriam asked who came from Argentina. I'm saying that some toys are produced. I know that I'd seen some Smurf toys that have been produced in Argentina. Miriam. Yeah, electric football. I couldn't afford anything like that. And so.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, it's you put the pieces on the board and then turn the board on, they vibrate. And you hope that somebody gets, you turn it on and it's this down and everybody moves around and that's where the ball stops. So you reset everybody. It's like, it's crazy. It's the kind of game that everyone around the person playing it looks at and goes, "What are you doing?" But the person playing it absolutely adores it.
Okay.
Right? Because it was, it's a fun game, but it just, you can't make things go a certain way. They just shake around, which is kind of fun. If it's the one I'm thinking of, Paul, if I'm wrong, correct me. So I would make things. I would make toys like that. I made out of clothes hangers. I know how to fix a tabletop hockey board with all the little. In Canada, the more popular than the football game was a rink that had underneath it a hollow space where it was attached all of these wire mechanisms and that could spin, and you would have little board hockey players attached at the top and that would swivel with the spin of the wire and would shoot the puck around. Yeah. And you'd have a goalie on each side. It would move side to side. And that was hugely popular here, right? Uh-oh, look out. That's for you.
Finished Mitford, second one on the way. Daughter took first to read. Awesome. Passing it on to the next generation.
Converting.
Once you get the first one under your belt, it's under your skin. And there you go. You're committed to the series.
It's interesting that Paul really liked that because it was fun.
He liked your description.
Is that perfect? The vibrating. I knew a kid that had it, but I couldn't have those. I knew a kid that had like every Star Wars toy, and could care less about them all, and would break them in his backyard. Like
Yeah, I'm the same, Paul. I try to play that hockey game because my brother had it, and it would just frustrate me.
So in the house here, we've got, for the grandkids, we've got a foosball game, which is soccer. You drop the ball and the guys are spinning and going back and forth on the rods.
A little easier.
Yeah, and we have that. We have air hockey.
Oh, air hockey. That's fun. Yeah.
And it takes approximately 3 minutes for our grandson Jay to shout at our granddaughter Lily, "You're cheating!" It takes that long. About 3 minutes into a game.
I don't even know if it's 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'm being generous. Yeah. What are we missing? Argentinian kids play with toys too, but not a lot of them. Not all of them, unfortunately. A lot of them were in the streets working for their parents. That's rough.
Yeah.
Well, that's. We were talking. Our next door neighbors from the Sudan, and we were talking about so many of these cultural challenges that tradition. This is a tradition to carry on in this way, and it's like we can lose some traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Which is maybe a terrible thing on my part to say, but hey, I'm a jerk.
Well, if it negatively impacts.
That's the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is drawing a lady in traditional Polish dress. And,
okay.
Yeah, so that's the first thing I've got going. I have an air guitar. It stays in the corner next to my actual guitar. That's funny. I keep mine loaded on my back like a shotgun. Check it out. There you go.
All good games end up in an argument. Monopoly is the best for that. Oh, you better believe it.
Monopoly, the way to destroy families.
You got to calculate everybody's net worth, and wow.
You owe me this much rent. Ha ha, you're destitute. What? It depends on who you're playing with, too, because it's funny to watch the people that are hardcore ardent rule sticker buyers. And you're like, it's okay, you can pay me the next time you go
Yeah.
around. And like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta
Paul
be
says he couldn't
understanding.
afford an air guitar.
You just have to believe in it.
Dee Dee, congrats on your Toastmaster appointment, Frank.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's now running Toastmasters
He's
group
the
in
club
Texas.
president now.
Yeah. It's a lot of drinking. I know that's not what it's about. I know it's about speeches. But
This is Miriam.
that's Miriam. Yeah.
Okay.
I have 3 air guitars, Frank. You can't see them. We have a running thing in our family that started by your dad. And for John, is that John would, Lori's brother, he gets, assistance monies to help him to go and do different functions at Sensity, the Deafblind Institute where he lives. And so he tells everybody about, I got this much money. But we know it's going for. He doesn't really have that money. But every time Dad would say, oh, I need some money.
Yeah, let's go to the bank.
Let's go to the bank. And he'd say, you're crazy, Dad. I'm not giving you my money. It's like, I need it. He goes, no, you don't need my money. He goes, no, I do. I needed to feed this horse I have in the shed. And so that's where this started. And so there's no horse in the shed. You're messing with me, And so this would go on and go on.
Yeah.
And I'm continuing the tradition. The horse is now living in our shed. Right? And so, John, if you want to help me feed that horse, it's like, Christopher, you're crazy. There was no horse. Dad was lying.
But there's always a part of him that's like,
he likes that.
There actually might be a horse.
Oh, yeah. We can go in the shed and check. Oh, I can't find the key, John. He puts you on your toes about it, that's for sure. So we keep that rolling. So it's an invisible horse. And I'd show everybody, but I don't have a remote camera to take it out to the shed to show you guys. You just have to believe me. So
Paul says the strings are broke. I think this is in
relation to the guitars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he said, "I'm not getting any drawing done."
Trying to play the guitar too much. Put the guitar down.
Yeah.
Strings are broken anyways, Paul.
Yeah, Dexter. That's right, Miriam. The horse's name is Dexter.
Hey, wow, good memory. Yeah, because we talked about that when John was on the stream. Yeah, it's important. It's good, John. It's good to keep some of the traditions going.
Definitely.
So these paint markers. I've seen so many people that work with these really opaquely.
I just realized I'm sitting in your chair because you look shorter today.
Well, I don't look shorter on that, but my head is huge in that because I'm so much closer to the camera.
Thanks for letting me sit in your chair.
I gave you a squeaky chair, everybody. I don't know if you should be thanking me so much for that. It's a squeaky chair, Lori. I do love my squeaky chair. What can happen if the Smurfs visit Dexter? Well, I, for one, would be greatly surprised. But they would probably sing a song and dance around in a circle when the horse tried not to trot on them.
That's right.
The horse would be handy, though, to deal with Azrael.
Did Gargamel ride a horse?
No.
I thought there was a horse somehow involved.
Oh, there's definitely going to be an episode that has a horse.
Oh, yeah. It's a page with a horse.
There's got to be a horse in those words.
Paul is asking, are you drawing a football player or an astronaut?
Yes. I am drawing a traditional Polish costumes lady.
Yeah, it needs a little bit more work.
Yeah, like I was just saying, I sort of build, other people draw really opaquely, and I sort of build up. So, and paint markers I have stink. So
I guess Dee Dee's got a squeaky chair too.
Yeah.
Miriam thought that maybe Dee Dee sent the chair here.
oh no, Dee Dee will not give up her squeaky chair. She will not. She refuses to. It's part of her space. She's had it for, I can't remember how many years it should say, but
There you go. It looks like an Astro football player.
oh, okay. That's cultural insensitivity.
We'll stay tuned as it takes shape.
So the surface that I'm working on is another piece of jelly plated paper. And so while it gives you some recognizable images in it, right? Like you can see the little starburst pattern here, I would think. And twist it a little bit. Maybe see how they appear there? There's one over here.
Yeah.
So Dee had it for 25 to 30 years. Oh my. How old is mine? Mine's not that old. It's
No.
like 4 or 5. In the course of our relationship, our marriage, we're going to be
almost 10 years.
10 years married next month.
Yeah.
But in the course of our relationship, which is longer than that, Lori has been slowly but surely making me replace all of the things in my studio. Because I have no furniture left that I initially had when we were first together. I had the most cobbled together studio.
And one of your secret techniques is to take like little tablecloths or little sheets and cover the furniture, and that makes it all better.
You don't realize how ugly everything I'm using is. It was a stylistic choice, though. It was a, yeah.
Thanks, Paul. 10 years. It's nice. It sure is nice.
She needs an award. 10 years with this lunatic.
And so I also bought you some clothes. And the first time I did that, you were really sweet, but you didn't like anything I had bought you because it wasn't your style.
It all had color.
I was still trying to figure out. We're still trying to get to know one another, and you were like, "This is nice, Lori.
This is really nice baby blue shirt that you brought me.
Wear this."
Where should I put this? In your dresser.
So
Oh
then,
yeah.
So then it was, well, okay, we'll just buy everything in black. Can't go wrong with black. But now we've kind of swung back to the middle where we can have some color again.
Working me down. Working me. And it's not like I'm not very changeable. Dee Dee has been married for 43 years. Fantastic.
Thank you, Riri. She says, they say congrats.
Oh, nice. Dee Dee and her husband.
That's fantastic, Dee Dee. Amazing. And Paul says his wife and him are approaching 15. She has replaced everything except me. He's a bit afraid he's next.
It's tricky. You gotta keep an eye on him.
Okay, so there was a question about the gel plated page.
What was that?
I will find it.
Okay.
Okay, so Frankly is asking, so that's actual jelly that dried on a sheet of paper.
So it's a square gelatin, an 8 by 10 piece of gelatin that you have, and the way that it works is because it has to do with the interaction of the polymers. And like there's the gelatin and then there's the polymers in acrylic paint. And so you go over the gelatin and acrylic paint, and then you take a transferable image like on a photocopy or in certain kinds of magazines. Other kinds of magazines don't work. You lay those face down, and preferably high contrast. And as you peel that, give it a few seconds, and then when you peel that off, it leaves the darker contrasted areas of that image, ideally are left inside of, or on top of, I'm sorry, the gelatin plate.
Mm-hmm.
So then as you go back and forth over with different colors and doing different pieces like so, you can put different layers of images on. Now, if you're unsuccessful, like some of these were, you get this mottled mess. But I actually prefer the mottled mess because it's a fantastic base surface in which to illustrate on top of. And so to me, it's about embracing the mistake made and finding from that, the facility to be able to build up on the images that I want to put down in the first place. What are people saying there? I'm missing stuff. I'm jibber jabber.
Talking about length of being divorced
Oh,
too. So this is funny. Did we share this before?
What's that?
We have a plaque on our wall that it has a tree.
Oh no, I don't know if I told people this.
And a family tree comes from two hearts, joined together, that kind of thing. It's very nice.
Yeah, we picked this up at
a home store.
Yeah, I don't care.
Then my daughter said,
"Oh yeah, when we put it up on the wall." Okay, yeah, tell them that. That's hilarious.
And then she's like, "Yeah, the family tree comes from two hearts that were once divorced, and now they fell in love," or something like that. It was just
no. What is it? A family is built on two divorces and a lot of love. That's what it was, because it's a family is built on it's two hearts. So it goes, a family is built upon two hearts and a lot of love. And Nicole says, a family is built upon two divorces, two hearts, and a lot of love.
I guess that is the whole story.
Yeah. Kids, they'll point out the funny thing in the room.
Miriam said if she could add up the years of all their marriages, and Paul said maybe an average.
Well, we were both previously married, and which, yeah, I guess everybody clearly understands that. But, and then we Brady bunched up this pile of maniacs, and so Lori had 2, I had 3, now we have 5, and it's funny is that Jamie, my oldest, is going to be 32, and so when people see Jamie, or if people find out that Jamie's going to be 32, they always look at Lori.
Well, no, they're more concerned about,
how is that possible?
Well, and
because they don't think that she could have had somebody that's that old. Well, she didn't.
Well, and you like to lead people to think that
I'm 100.
All the kids are our biological kids.
Oh yeah, it's
and
fun.
They're like,
it's so fun.
Looking at me like,
she had it when she was 5. Like, it's so, yeah.
So yeah.
They do this. What? But
pulling your leg.
But how is that possible? Well, how old's Franklin? I mean, how old's that kid now?
Franklin would like to find a housekeeper named Alice. Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, but you got to eat meatloaf, Frank, and a lot of it. Yeah, so in our case, our Alice was baby.
The baby didn't clean or cook.
Just nothing.
Nothing.
She contributes in no way.
Didn't contribute.
She's a mouser in a house that has no mice.
Okay, we'll take mouser.
So she could contribute, but we really don't want her to have to.
Okay, now it's not looking like an Astro football player anymore.
Paul says his family looks like an Amazonian jungle.
Yes, my family tree looks like an Amazonian jungle.
What is? What? Is it because it's got a lot of wraparound vines? Okay, so I'm going to start putting in some of the facial features here now. Well, I mean, it's a lot of work to put together a brood like ours, but, you know, it's doable. I mean, it's just, you know, a lot of effort. Make sure everybody feels in the midst, etc. Laura just walks around shutting at all the kids. You're grounded. You're grounded. You're grounded.
Thanks, Dee Dee. See you later.
So bye, Dee Dee. So the books that I got Lori, these anthologies.
Sorry, but I didn't. Those were annoying. Those are super.
Knaps are the best. So they bite butts. That's the best part of Knaps is they bite you on the butt and they turn you into a Knap. You go from blue to purple. So those are hardcover books that collect, I think, 4 or 5 stories, 6 stories, something like that in each. I also got you all of the digest size ones and bought you all of those guys.
Yeah.
So you've got all the Smurf books. Well, all the traditional Smurf books, not all the new stuff that they just keep coming up with more. You know. Because as soon as a corporation gets a hold of something, they just gotta produce it until they can do so no more.
Now, Paul says we used to have every other weekend to ourselves when we first got married. That was fun. Yep, we had the same thing. Now we're back to, well, every day is to ourselves.
Full time.
Sometimes it's a little quiet.
So I just walk around the house arguing with myself. Such and such took my thing. Such and such is in my space. No, we've got the cats to make up for it now.
Yeah, that's right. They require a good amount of discipline.
I had Baby, but we adopted Corbin because the family wanted to have a cat that they could pet.
Well, and I thought that if we had another cat, it would make Baby be nicer.
It's not how she works.
She does have her soft moments when she's friends with him.
She'll walk up and give him a little peck and immediately swat him. It's rough stuff. So the fun thing about all these things that I was pulling out today is that those are things that we have actively, purposely got copies of so that we can push those on.
Mm-hmm.
So that we have, like all of the digest size ones, all of them are in the room for the grandkids. Actually, these were 2, but you know. But Lori has a Smurf shelf of different Smurf things that I've been giving her over the years. You've got 2 Gnaps.
Oh yeah.
You've got the black Gnap and you've got the purple Gnap.
Yep, that's right.
And these little vinyl collectibles. And so anyways, over our relationship, I would buy Lori different Smurf things. Trying to, you know, it's something that I know that was important to her. It's like that, and I tried to collect you all the Maeve Binchy books.
Yeah.
Even after she died, I was still collecting like Maeve Binchy material.
Well, and they were still producing it.
Yep. But the thing that she likes most, despite all this active effort that I was making to try to get her all these different Smurf things, the toy, silly, collectible thing that you like the most that I picked up is John Cusack a vinyl of John Cusack holding the ghetto blaster above his head from the movie Say Anything.
I didn't know like how, I don't know if iconic is the right adjective for that moment or that scene in the movie, but yeah, that I could watch that movie. That's a tradition. I gotta watch that at least once a year.
Every year, she makes me go stand in the backyard and hold a radio above my head playing Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
Can I come in? No.
Oh, Frankly's gonna catch one of his blue mice for us.
Well, isn't that nice of you, Frankie?
Aw, this is really sweet, Paul. He says he learned nothing from his first marriage, just happened to luck out in a second and married the best girl. That's really sweet.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. Now we're going to get into a big disagreement on the stream about who's got the best girl. We'll all have to settle on the best girl for us and walk away grumpy. All right, so there's the first image coming together. I might come back and tighten up some of the little details in there, but for the most part, I'm pretty good with it. Just because it's a small image, and if I monkey around it too much, it's never going to get, we're never going to get moving on it.
Yeah.
What's that?
Paul loves Lloyd's line about what kind of work he doesn't want to do.
What's that from?
I don't want to. Remember, he's
Oh,
having
insane
dinner.
I don't want to be one of
and
those people, sir.
I don't want to make anything, produce anything, sell anything, and so on and so on. Oh, but his dad wanted to get him in the army. I don't want to work for that corporation.
So there's a fun thing. I've mentioned this before. I've tried to get Lori to watch it. She doesn't like it. But the entire cast of Say Anything, except for the female lead, and
no, is in this other movie.
and the guy from Frasier who played her dad, except for those two actors, all of the key actors that are in Say Anything are in a movie called Grosse Point Blank, which is about this character played by John Cusack, who has, they're all different characters basically, but he's come home. He has to go back to his 10-year high school graduation. And when he took off at years ago, it was on graduation night, or it was on the night of the prom, whatever it was. And he went and he joined the army, and he became a hitman because he had a certain moral flexibility. And so now here he is years later coming back. But all of those actors, all the guys he hung out with at the
gas and sip,
the gas and sip, and the woman that played his teacher, she's still the teaching at the school. Yeah. He's still torturing kids. He says to her, Horatio Algiers, I went west. Anyway, so yeah. It's so good.
Paul likes the movie too.
Grosse Point Blank is the cast of Say Anything. It's like a big reunion thing when they added in Dan Aykroyd. It's so funny.
Maybe I'll give it another try. If Paul says it's
great.
If
Paul says it's good, you can trust a man with good judgment about staying in the house when he doesn't want to dress in certain things. Okay, so I've got the traditional grandma, the traditional Polish lady here. And so next what I'm going to do is that I'm going to have her cooking. And so the idea being that with the suggestion as it is, where she puts flour in everything, and the family member that's visiting, of course, being, what's it called? Gluten. Gluten. She's gluten allergic. What do you call that? She just can't eat gluten.
Yeah. Lloyd is going to take a kickboxing, sir. It's the sport of the future. I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. Just started. Okay, I have to watch this now. You owe me for my birthday.
Oh, great. Now we're watching Say Anything tonight. I prefer to watch, what was the one he was in? The record store. The John Cusack one, and he's in a record store. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
No, you like everything else but the one that I like.
Oh, I like Say Anything. I think it's fine. But I prefer Grosse Point Blank, right? Just because Joni Cusack, his sister, and she plays his sister in Say Anything. Well, in Grosse Point Blank, she plays his receptionist who's a little bit afraid of him. And she's like, "Hey, Grosse Point graduates, come on down." He goes, "I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this." And he walks into the other room, and so she calls him on the intercom. "Sandy Wilkins has opened a cheese shop." She just badgers him about going to his high school reunion, which coincidentally is in the same town where he has to go and do a hit. It's like fate's talking to you, sir. It's so good. Yeah, it's good films are good films. Everybody has a film that they really enjoy.
Well, and also it reminds you of a time, a particular point in time in your life. Like I remember what was happening that day when I watched that movie and what was going on. I think I was like 18. Yeah.
You can remember everything about those special events.
Yeah.
Because of the way our senses work, there's always something that connects those things. Whether it's like you smell cinnamon cookies and you think about baking with your mom, right? Like it's that sort of stuff. And Say Anything would fit into that for sure because it's that highly impressionable, teens.
Wow, Paula hasn't watched it since it came out.
Oh my!
Yes.
And you remember all of those things despite
impressive.
that?
And he needs to draw. We keep interrupting you.
Come on, Paul. What's the matter?
So I'm excited about my birthday cake because it's Dutch birthday cake since you're drawing something Polish.
Yeah, neither of us are Polish.
No.
Yeah. But
nobody else really likes cake in our family. So I bought this little cake.
She's just going to eat it in front of everyone.
Which I'll probably have a piece every day this week. But it's got a custard middle and the icing it's not overly sweet. It's just perfect.
Recently I talked about when we went to how unfair these situations are where you get to eat this incredibly rich Dutch cake. Recently we were in Port Stanley, which is this nice little port, like it's one of the Great Lakes. Anyways, and we go to this ice cream shop, this family-owned and run ice cream shop for like 40 some odd years.
And it's got a bazillion
a million flavors. How many of them can I have, Lori?
There's one flavor. Butterscotch.
Scutterbotch.
Like, go crazy, Christopher.
Now, can I get 2 scoops? What's your diabetic menu like? It's right there, sir. That line in the bottom corner that's half covered in a cobweb. It's got dust all over that part of board from when we had to wipe off and rewrite all the fantastic flavors we're constantly adding for everyone else to have. Yours is there. Very, very faint. The flavor's called unhappiness. We can dust off that barrel if you like some, sir. It's just not fair. It's just not fair. Hey.
Oh, I think maybe Frankie was wanting cake.
Well, we can mail you some, Frank, but it's going to taste terrible. Is there some kind of a law in the States where you're not allowed to be mailed cake through the post? You look into that and get back to us, because if there is, we're going to back off. But if there isn't, we'll pack it up in an envelope. It might be a little bit squished. Miriam's back from having dinner. It's always interesting to me the time difference that we all have. And Josh Kimball said, "Hey, I'll check out your stream later on this morning." And I'm like, "This morning," because it takes me a second to realize he's on the opposite side of the North American coast, and then Miriam is overseas, so it's it's very challenging.
Really different.
And I really appreciate Miriam tuning in. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Paul lives in a place called Michigan, where people procrastinate from doing their drawing. It's a land of diesel engines. I gotta get new. I'm really disappointed about these ones. I wish that they had a limitless paint supply, because I managed to find this fine point paint pen, acrylic paint pen set when we were in, where were we? Sarnia?
I think so.
That weird bookstore?
Yeah.
And, the traditional paint pens you find are like this big, or you've got your Poscas, and the Poscas, of course, come in different sizes too. But even the Posca fine point is this big, whereas this one is that big, It's actually even a little smaller. But there's not a lot of paint in there, so they don't last too long. Mm-hmm. Frank disobeys the laws. Well, I don't need to start an international incident, Frank, by trying to mail you some cake and starting a war between Canada and that, just because Frank Salazar doesn't listen to laws about mailing food. If you're gonna be a rebel and stand against the man for something, mailing cake might not be it, frankly. Yeah, it's not working. That's your toast. And go get some more. Anyways, this works fine. So what I'm doing now is the tabletop with a bunch of bowls and ingredients and mixing it up and having her pour flour. That's what that actually is. It's her pouring flour into the bowl. And then the next panel is going to be
that's awesome.
Just the dust cloud of flour. And then that way
you can get inspiration from Pigpen.
There we go.
Dirt, whatever.
So when I was growing up, I actually knew a kid that was just like Pigpen. He's always like covered in mud and stuff like that, because he's just the kid that just gets right into it. And I used to think that kid was so funny. A lot of the kids that coincidentally, when Paul's referenced Fat Albert earlier, because I grew up where and how I grew up, I really vibed with the Fat Albert show, because that's playing at the junk. They're playing the junkyard is where the kids would hang out, and for us it was down by the river where all the people would leave their cars, like the rusty cars, and we make forts in the woods and but there's some pretty eccentric kids there.
So Sarnia, we're just about like an hour from Sarnia. Lots of people go to Port Huron for shopping.
I've never quite got that.
And yes, ketchup chips. You better believe those are addictive.
So we went the other day in order to get your cake.
Yeah.
We went to the Dutch store.
Mike's Meat
Market, the Dutch store. It says the Dutch store on the back wall.
Okay.
And they have like these Dutch chips that they get in there.
It's Lay's brand.
Right? It's Lay's brand, but they're
paprika.
Dutch. Like paprika chips. And it's like, they're great. I really enjoy them. I wish we bought, tons of it, but they're really expensive.
Yeah.
So it's a special treat. But it's funny. It's so funny to me that ketchup chips is such a big deal. That they can't get it over the border. Ketchup. Right? because all the problems it'll cause. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Americans hate ketchup.
Well, there was
angry
the
at
whole
tomatoes?
the ketchup dilemma with Heinz and French's.
Is there really a dilemma about ketchup?
A
When
few
was this?
years
Why don't I
ago,
remember
I
this?
think because of Heinz's maybe employment practices, there was a push to everybody support French's, the brand French's.
It's funny, the things you don't think, right? Like Heinz ketchup is here. And like you can drive by the factory where they make Kraft macaroni and cheese here in southwestern Ontario. Chatham is the home of the pineapple on a like pineapple pizza, Hawaiian pizza. Like just the most random things here,
Yeah.
that we're famous for. There's a lot of innovations here that aren't in other parts of the country.
Yeah, see, we're within driving distance.
Come on over, Frank.
Paul.
Or come on over, Paul.
We have to get our passports.
Yeah.
That's a project we have to do.
Yeah, that's
so we can expand our horizons.
I'm not going to the States.
Miriam's asking if you swim.
Me or you?
If you swim, do you swim, Christopher?
I can swim.
Maybe they're wondering if you're going to swim the Great Lakes.
Nope. The Great Lakes really are Great Lakes. Like they're huge.
I do not like swimming with you because I'm sorry, but you're very, you become like a fish, a big fish.
Yeah, I'm not I went to become a lifeguard.
You did?
Yeah, and at the Y.
You should have.
In my early teens. Like I was way too young to be a lifeguard.
Yeah.
They had a swimming program there. It was based on different fish levels. And once you get up to shark, right?
Yeah.
And then you can do some of the lifeguard training. And that's the first time I did CPR. But I could hold my breath ridiculously long, even though I smoked for 27 years.
Yeah.
And then I could hold my breath for really, really long and like swim like a pool length. And I swim.
But you're saying that you were going out as a lifeguard when you in your young teens.
Yeah.
So
So
you hadn't been smoking for 27 years.
Not at the time, no. But I could still swim underwater like that.
Yeah.
And it drives Lori crazy because it looks like I'm just this undulating
and all
line.
Of a sudden,
bow, out of the
terrify me.
If I drop down at this side of the pool, it doesn't mean I'm not going to come up on the other side. I love swimming.
Yeah, Miriam would like you to bring her a piece of cake so you can
swim. I can swim across the ocean and down through the Straits of Gibraltar and make my way to Israel with a piece of cake for Miriam. I don't think it's going to survive the trip, but I'll try. See you in 5 minutes.
Yeah, Paul.
Laura, get mosquito.
Paul needs to get passports too. So there you go. We can hold each other accountable.
Hey, guys, you and your wife come on
get
over
working on those.
Everybody's getting ready now for kids going back to school, and all of the chaos that represents. And here, ideally, we should be, we don't have to do any of this. And we still went grocery shopping yesterday for the grandkids for back to school stuff.
Yeah. That's fun.
It was.
So, Frankie says, Paul, pick me up. We'll go visit the Rutzmans.
That would be Frank has to go from Michigan to Texas, turn around. Frank gave a 1 hour drive to become a 2-day drive.
And yeah. And Miriam has a passport. If I say in my interview that I am traveling for a piece of cake, do you think they'll give me a visa?
Of course they will. Yes, of course they will.
Slam dunk. Yes, fruitcake will survive the trip. You better believe it.
Fruitcake would survive.
We didn't realize until we started needing to read labels. The sugar and carb content in fruitcake
Yeah, it'll drop a
is
horse.
unreal. Like, I don't know.
Really
It's like
high.
triple digits.
Yeah, it was really high. It's like a single slice of fruitcake with something like 130 carbs.
Oh, more than that.
It was mental.
Like 400 or something like that.
I was trying to be generous.
With 1,000 carbs,
Really thin cut.
1,000 grams of sugar.
Remember I said I could cut it micro thin, and he said it's still 100. Yeah, we were really amazed by how much it's just pure sugar.
It's terrible.
And you can use it to plug holes in a sinking ship. Just jamming in the cracks. You know, repair your walls. It's sad because I'm one of the weirdos that likes fruitcake at Christmas.
Yeah,
Because
so
most
people
people
used to
hate
go like,
fruitcake, and I'm
here,
like,
you can
hey.
have my fruitcake.
Thank you.
There you go. Paul just asked, does anybody actually eat fruitcake? I don't think they should.
I used to when I was younger. I'm not diabetic because of eating practices. I'm diabetic because of my body malfunctioning. But I could very well have become diabetic from eating fruitcake.
Oh, yeah, it's not good.
You can use it to clog drains.
I feel like it's a tradition. Fruitcake is a tradition from years and years.
Special
and years.
Familial tortures to give
and
people
maybe
you don't like in the family.
Like it was super helpful to have that
Well,
in the day.
Well, think about it. It's all preserved fruit.
Yeah.
Right? You can give it to somebody and they can make it last through the winter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
exactly. Or they can fix damaged cracks in their household. You can leave it outside for a few minutes and use it as a weapon. No idea. Birthday party at the Runciman's. So
that's fun.
It would be a lot of fun, except for I'm the only one that draws.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, your granddaughter.
No, but I mean, like if we had all of our kids here to do that, I mean, Lily, I've said this before on the stream, is that she's the first one to really, like, and Jamie would engage a little bit, but she'd always go off and do her own thing. But Lily's the first person in the whole family that wants to spend time here in the studio and you know, use whatever they can. And get in everything. Smash all the brush tip markers. She doesn't mean to, she just...
Yeah, we're going to have to make this happen sometime. I would like to see your studio in person.
Oh, you're always welcome, Paul. Yeah, that's for sure. Come on down. What brings you to Canada? Comic books. Just go. They won't even look at your car. I went to a couple conventions in the States, and they said, what's your reason for coming into the United States? And going to a comic book convention? Okay, go ahead. Like you could just see the dismissal. The dismissal in the guy's face. He's, yeah, good Lord. Go on, losers. You want to check and see what we got in the back? No. Should I? It's comics. Go ahead. Nothing says you're not cool enough for the border guys if they just wave at you with disdain. I went to a convention in Novi, Michigan. I am still to this day not sure how to pronounce it. Is it Novi or Novi?
There's a good question.
And but I kept getting. You said funny. Where are you from?
Miriam says I'm coming to see an invisible horse. Flop.
It's a lot easier to clean up after an invisible horse. I'll tell you that right now.
So speaking of conventions, in a couple of weeks.
Toronto? Or not Toronto? London. I was just thinking about the Toronto one just happened.
Okay.
Yeah, the London Comic Con's in a couple of weeks. and it'll be. So we're going to do something fun there. With the publisher, I couldn't put certain pages into the book because of copyright licensing. So the Universal Monster page, the one page that I did, the Universal Family, it's where I mixed the Universal Monsters with the Brady Bunch. That can't be in the book.
No.
So what we're doing is that we're doing prints the same size as the pages of the book, the same format as the pages of the book. So anybody that buys those, as soon as the book's released, they can just slide those pages right in, and they win. So we'll have those on the table at the London Comic Con, and then we'll have to figure out how to make those available for people online for people otherwise, especially anybody that buys copies of the book as soon as it's ready through us. I mean, we can give them copies, but they will not be available for online sales otherwise.
No.
And the challenge of that, of course, is that if people are like, well, then I'll just order from you. I'm like, the whole reason of going online is so I don't have to mail all these things.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out.
I like the Where Are They Now page.
Which one's that? Is that the Barney in Rehab?
Yeah.
Well, because I didn't want to draw Barney in rehab, right? Like I didn't want to do it like, oh, Barney's in,
Sobering up.
Yeah, he's become a recluse.
No, I like how you handle that one.
Anybody still it's still the opportunity is open for anybody. If you do have one-page ideas, feel free any old time to throw them my way.
Yeah.
We are now on today's that I posted is number 246 since the start of the year. I'm not saying that to compare with anybody else. I'm just saying that that's how many pages that we've done since the start of January. Is 246 pages so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta get a life, but it's a lot of fun.
Paul likes our idea of how to distribute those pages, and one of the Brady Bunch monsters, that was Frankly's. So yeah, we're excited that there's still an avenue for distributing those pages.
I was Frankly did that.
Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it.
Hi, Rachel. I finally know what Rachel looks like now, because Didi put a picture of Rachel up on her stream today. So everybody knows what Rachel looks like now. It's because you see everybody has. I mean, if their face is up on a stream, you get to know who they are, but for the most part, you don't know what anybody looks like. So Rachel looks very nice.
Here you go. Paul's suggestion.
All right, I'll write it down. There's no idea I won't take a crack at unless it's, perverse or stupid.
So Miriam says, I want to attend a retreat in Olympia, Virginia. I think that is. I need to be there on October 5th. And my interview to Visa is on the 16th of October. No way.
Nice. That interview, wait a minute, what? Oh, it's after.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
Oh.
Don't these people know how numbers work? Well, I heard one of those guys from down south saying, it's the best place in the world. Everybody wants to be here. Like that. That's how he talked. I don't know. I think his name was Dave or something. And, he's not lying. A lot of people want to go to the States for things. We have to get our passports because I fully intend on being in SPX next year, which is in Bethesda, Maryland, which I thought only existed in history books. So
I guess that's going to be coming up this month. It's in September.
Yeah, that's this month as well. I made a big old smooch. Yeah, so that I'll be doing that next September. Also, we'll be going to to the States there. So it really would be nice to meet a lot of the people that we've met online. But again, it's a funny thing. So much of Canada, like the population center of Canada is in Ontario where we live. So the idea of meeting other people here isn't as drastic unless somebody's out in the east or west coast, because then it becomes, I mean, to fly across Canada takes 8 hours, right? Yeah, okay. To fly, Rachel says, gee, you know Dave too? What's the one-page idea? What you got?
Oh, they're just saying they're in support of Paul's one-page
Oh,
suggestion.
yeah.
He says that's his first one-page idea.
For Paul? That is your first? Really? Come on, Paul. Anybody's welcome. Even if people have given X amount of one-page ideas before, I'm always open to more. Like, I'm always open to the possibility of more fun interaction. So, anyways, we're going to be doing a few things at the con this year, where we're having. I'll be doing the little flip zines. I'll be having those on my table, and I'll be having. Oh, that's tomorrow, by the way. Tomorrow we will be doing. It's 3 Prompt Tuesday.
Okay.
And 3 Prompt Tuesday, I will be doing another one of the flip zine books.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
those are fun.
I'm not sure what I'll do on this one. It's I got some crazy suggestions, absolutely crazy suggestions. Rachel says everyone has to have their first. I think that walking to the other side of Israel takes 8 hours. Well, Canada is the second largest country on the planet, right? Like, it's vast. And yet, despite people, oh, it's the biggest country, there's a lot of places in Canada you can't live. You just can't. They're not very
conducive
to enjoyable living, and yet people do live in a lot of those spots, but very small amounts because of sustainability. We have a province called Nunavut that had it's only been or it's a territory. It's a territory, and it's only been a territory for X amount of years.
Thanks, Teresa.
Who's that? Hi, Teresa.
One of my big sisters.
Nice. Yeah, it was Teresa's husband that the
horses.
The horses. I wanted to try to figure out a way to incorporate Patti Smyth's song "Horses," but realizing that many people would know what I'm talking about. So,
Paul asks, Canada is bigger than Texas.
Is it? Yes. Easily, yes.
Rachel says marginally.
What's always funny to me is hearing people from California, and it's generally Jim that I'm talking about here, is that Jim will mention all these places. It's I'm at this place, and if you drive past San Dimas and you go over there, on the 2, like, he talks like that about California, like everything's, just relate to everything as place, road, place, road.
Yeah.
And what's funny about that is that there's a comedy bit on this Saturday Night Live show that's the whole gist of it. It's called The Californians, and that's all they do.
Oh.
Kevin, what are you doing here? Well, I came by the 2 and I went over Santa Monica Freeway, and it just, no, I meant, why are you in my house? It's so ridiculous. Yeah, it'd be nice to see everybody down south in the States there. A bunch of maniacs. So because the paint is so opaque, these paint markers, one of the things I do to reduce down the value of them is that I'll put the paint down like this, and I tap it with my finger, which diffuses it, like picks half the paint back up on the tip of my finger, but it makes it a half grade of value. So
Okay.
that's why I get so messy.
Yes.
That, and I like to eat crayons. If you take the 401, you can travel shore to shore. Yeah.
Okay, this is fun because this reminds me of another story of my dad. He explained, like, when he was 25 ish, he bought a Volkswagen Beetle and he's traveled the Trans Canada Highway across the prairies, and he literally, as he's telling us this story, he says, and then I turned left at Vancouver. And he went to California and he stayed there for a few months.
That'd be the way to do it. Turn left. Okay, here's a funny thing that I was talking to somebody I know that lives in the States, and they didn't know this. The American highway system. In Canada, our major highway system is the 400 series. So
in Ontario.
In Ontario specifically.
Yeah.
So we have the 400, the 402. The 400 is like London to Toronto. And then
it's okay, Christopher.
Ish. And then the 402 connects us to what? Sarnia? And then the 403 goes up by Paris and Stratford and all that. Brantford, yeah. But in the States, their highway system, it goes, like, if you go from the left of the country to the right of the country, their highways are like the 5, the 15, the 20, the 25, the 30. And if you go from the southern part of the country up to the northern country, it's like the 10, the 20, the 30, and or still it's like 5, 15, 25, 35, right? And then the 10, the 20, the 30, the 40, and it crosses through states that way. So that's how they'll have these intersections of certain numbers, but you'll never see the rest of them, because that's how it operates, because it's a federal road system. Turn left in Vancouver, and boom, you're in California. But yeah, Canada, it's too big for that. I remember I flew across the country to go and pick up somebody that I knew that was in Vancouver that was in jeopardy. And I got on the plane in Toronto, and I flew into yesterday to go to Vancouver. So now it's yesterday. And so then I picked them up, and I'm there for X amount of hours and so on and so forth. And we get them on another plane. So my view of Vancouver was fog and the occasional mountaintop sticking through it, which freaked me out.
Yeah.
And then ocean, which freaked me out.
Yeah.
And then land on the island. Can't see anything, like anything at all, because it's just pea soup fog. Okay, so I go to the place in this surreal world, to the hospital, pick up the friend, bring him back. We get on the plane, we leave. There's the ocean again, but we can see it more clearly now. There's the mountains, that's right? Fly all the way back to Toronto. I literally went across the country and back within 24 hours. Even though the time changes are massive, right? It took much more than that, but because of how time works, it was only 24 hours. Right? It's kind of mental. There's Tim Hortons cold brew coffee in my Texas store. Well, there you go, buddy. Drink her up. Here's something fun for you, Frank. Look up who Tim Horton was. And tell me if that doesn't make that coffee more Canadian. Well, this is going to need a lot more cleaning up. But anyways, we got it started. So the next panel is going to be
poof panel.
The poof panel. So The reason I'm doing this is so that I can go and make the dust cloud. And so the whole idea with this page of every time they put flour into things, it becomes something.
I like it.
And for the gluten-free person that can't eat any of this stuff, it's just completely frustrating. I went to Vancouver for work. It was a great city. Nice. Jim Horton was a hockey player. He played for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Miriam says, I designed stencils for a company in Texas, and someday I'll travel there. What did Rachel say? Tim Horton died on the highway between St. Catharines and Hamilton. Yeah, it sounds like a Canadian.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Christine Catton Paste, who she's out north of Toronto, and then Rachel's sometimes in the States and sometimes in the prairies, and because she really likes the cold weather. No, just where she lives, but yeah, Canada can get pretty cold. Yeah. Minus 40 in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
That's craziness.
Yeah, sometimes it starts snowing in the prairies like about now.
Yeah. So I've got this on its way. I got it started, and so I'll just keep refining it as I go. I'm starting fairly simply at this point because the more detail I put in at the very beginning, the more consistency of detail I have to go throughout. And depending on time factor, that's not always possible. So I start simpler and then I build up in small increments across the whole of the piece in an instance like this. So, but you get the gist of it. She puts flour and then dust fall happens. And then, yeah. So it's going to be a silly page. Surprise. But today it's in paint markers. So thank you, Dee Dee, by the way, for introducing me to Poscas. I never knew about Posca paint markers.
No, I know. You told me about them.
It's been this massive hassle of trying to figure out how to get overlay colors that are just consistent value and not them being all globs. And here this comes along.
Yeah, game changer.
Yeah. What do we have? A year younger than my wife when Connecticut gets our weather the day after we get it in St. Catharines. Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
That is rough.
I guess Tim Hortons was a year younger than Frankly when he died.
Where's your coffee empire, Frankly? It wasn't the empire that it is now when he was alive.
No.
He only had like 15 stores or something like that. And then now it's thousands. Yeah. At least 1,000. All right. I think we're gonna clock off for today because it's her birthday and we're gonna get ourselves together to do some birthday stuff. And I gotta get out of the way when she eats that cake.
That's for sure. Thanks for having me on my birthday.
This made it fun. It's fun. For those that could join us late, at the beginning of it, we showed a bunch of books that are a bunch of the things that we grew up with, a bunch of the things that we really enjoyed. So if you're keen to check those out, please feel free to do so. Rachel's got something for Corbin. Dee Dee is actually mailing Corbin the drawing she did of him last Wednesday.
That.
Yeah. It's all going to his head. And then today's page was of Corbin. Today's page was, if you click.
Nice to meet you too, Rachel. Thanks for being here.
If you click today's page
Paul.
involved Corbin and Baby and Nico, which is Chris Kalu's cat. So. But thanks very much, everybody, for coming and hanging out. We really appreciate it.
Fun.
And I'll be back tomorrow at 2:00. And again, as usual, if anybody has suggestions and stuff like that, feel free to shoot them in the comments for the video or for any of the social media posts.
Thanks, Miriam.
But thank you, everybody, for coming out. We really appreciate it, everybody. I hope everybody has a happy day. It's Labor Day for them in the States as well. And and I told one of them earlier that we have Labor Day in Canada, but it's because all the women are pregnant and have babies today. Not true. Okay. Bye for now, everybody. We'll see you
Bye-bye.
tomorrow.